Greetings and welcome back to Of Minds and Men. Today, Southeast Asia brings to mind images of glimmering dancers and exotic customs, the fruits of the last few decades' boom in tourism. However, just as the many cultures of Europe owe much to the classical tradition of Roman Greece, so too does the region bear much influence from ancient India, and transmitted peacefully at that. In this episode, I will be focusing specifically on the Indian impact upon maritime Southeast Asia, that part of the region which includes Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Geographic links between India and the region are millenarian. The Indonesian island of Java, for instance, is referred to in the ancient epic Ramayana as Javadvipa, Sanskrit for the island of Java, to which Sugriva, the Simian chief of Rama's army, dispatched his soldiers in search of Sita, the king's wife. It was hence referred to by the Sanskrit name Yavakadvipa, by traders from the kingdom of Kalinga in eastern India, alongside those from south in India. Contacts deepened from there, as the Indianized Tarumanagara kingdom was established in West Java around the 5th century CE. It produced among the earliest inscriptions in Indonesian history. Buddhism are also arrived to the island, with Buddhist influence rapidly expanding in the region by the mid-5th century. And around the 6th century, the eponymous Kalinga kingdom was established on the northern coast of central Java, deriving its name from the eponymous Kalinga kingdom of modern-day Odisha. Later on, the region's trade with India and China vastly expanded, which attracted the attention of the Mongol, Chinese and Japanese traders, and also pirates, as well as Islamic merchants, who reached the Aceh area of Sumatra into the 12th century, heralding the region's eventual turn to Islam. Medieval Indian atlases also expanded their range, with the Philippines being included in atlases as Panyupayana, the land surrounded by water. Indian Hindu influence, however, began declining around the 11th century onward. The traces of Hinduism remained in Java well into the 16th century, while the island of Bali, famous for tourism today, retains direct influences. More specifically, the Hindu cultural influence found today throughout the whole of Southeast Asia owes much to the imperial legacy of the Chola dynasty in modern-day Tamil Nadu, in the southeast of India. For example, the great temple complex at Prambanan in Java exhibits a number of similarities with the Dravidian style of South Indian architecture. The Islamic rulers of the medieval Malacca Sultanate in Malaysia, modern-day Malaysia that is, claim to be descendants of the kings of the Chola Empire, an interesting political twist. Up to the present day, Cholan or Chulan was a common royal surname. One such recent example being the late Raja Chulan, a 20th century ruler of Malaysia's Perak state. There are even recorded records of a Chola pretender in the Philippines nearly 1,000 years after the original empire had fallen. The Chola school of art also spread to Southeast Asia and influenced the architecture and art of maritime Southeast Asia. It makes for quite the fascinating story, as Indian cultural influence has melded with local forms to create entirely distinct cultures over the years. However, what of Buddhism, the religion perhaps most often associated with Southeast Asia? Well, that, alongside mainland Southeast Asia, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, will be the subject for next week's video, so make sure to tune in then.